And now we're going to be talking about some indoor plants and which varieties are really good for you. What is an indoor plant? Well, I suppose the easiest way to explain that is that an indoor plant is a plant that is able to live in a low light situation for quite a period of time. So these aren't plants that want to live out in the full sun. These are plants that like a lot of shade or lower levels of light. There are some wonderful plants that are on the market that everyone can utilize inside the home, and indoor plants are becoming a lot more popular again for using inside because they bring in oxygen and they really pretty the place up, and this is something that we all require for our homes. You know, 30 or 40 years ago, there were some couple of plants on the market that everyone had to have in their homes, and this is one of them. This is a Ficus Loretta, or the fiddle leaf fig. This is still popular today, or it's gaining in popularity, I should say, again, because of its large leaves. Now, the fact that it has large leaves tells you automatically that it's able to capture a large amount of light in a small area, or especially in a dimly lit area. And you'll find this plant can actually cope really quite well inside of the house. Another plant that's gaining back in popularity is the old rubber plant. It has a beautiful shiny foliage. This one here has a dark leaf. There are variegated forms and also a golden leaf form as well. Again, this plant has proven its worth inside the home because of its big foliage. It's able to capture light from all different directions. It's so strong and able to withstand a lot of neglect. Now, both of these plants, the fiddle leaf fig and the ficus and the rubber plant as well, can grow into very large trees. They are fig trees after all. So do remember that after a while, if you have found that they have outgrown their position in your home, you can cut them back and they will resprout. Don't think that you can go off and plant them in your garden, because more than likely they can be a little too large for the average suburban garden, but you can also keep them in pots outdoors as well. Another old-time favourite that has been around, I think, forever as an indoor plant is the aspidistra. They are not called the cast iron plant for nothing. They are incredibly tough, beautiful, lush foliage that looks great all through the year. Only grows to up to maybe a metre at the very most, but fills out a pot over a period of time very easily. Now, the three of these plants don't take a lot of water at all, and they are very easy to care for. Another one is the Zanzibar Gem. This is a plant that's come onto the market in recent times, over the past, say, 5 or 6 years, and is really gaining in popularity. You'll see it quite commonly used in shopping centres these days because it's able to cope with a lot of air conditioning and very low subdued light. It's an amazing plant that stores all of its energy down at the base of the stems, and that's because it holds a lot of moisture down there. So like the other plants, they don't require a lot of constant watering, but they will actually respond quite nicely to getting in there and cleaning the foliage. This is something that you can do to all of your large-leaved indoor plants, is get out there, clean the foliage with a damp cloth. You don't try and use too much in the way of oils, because inside of our home we have a lot of dust particles that actually can collect on the foliage, but just a damp cloth is enough to keep that plant looking happy and healthy. Now, I have to go to something that is a very old plant that I do love them quite a lot. This is the old spider plant. You know, I remember growing this on a windowsill in a glass of water from my uncle, and it used to grow quite prolifically with no help from me. And if something like that can grow quite happily for me, I'm sure it can grow for anybody. This is a plant that has proven itself time and time again, and is regaining in popularity. It has many more uses than just as an indoor plant, but it is lovely to brighten up corners such in the bathroom or in the kitchen too. It does require a little bit more light. It doesn't want too dark a corner, but certainly a little bit more light and you'll find a lovely lush plant. And of course, as it grows, it produces these little offsets which you can take off and replant, and you can propagate from these, which means you'll get a lot of brand new free plants to give away to friends or put around the house if you wanted to. What about things such as succulents? Now, people often look at succulents and think, well, maybe I should have something inside the house. A lot of succulents don't really like to be inside the home. I'll be honest and say they like a little bit more of a brighter light, they like the airflow, and they do love the rain. But what about something like this? Now, here's something that always gets tongues wagging, excuse the pun, but this is a plant called the mother-in-law's tongue, and this is a plant that has been used time and time again for indoor use. It is a very, very tolerant plant of low light and can grow for a long time. Very little pests or diseases on this particular plant. Great for the student, great for kids as well to have in their bedroom. There's no spiky bits, no prickly parts on this plant, nothing poisonous, but it's a really nice plant, adds lovely texture and looks really, really interesting. Again, put it in the same situation as the chlorophyton where it gets bright indirect light. It doesn't want dark or deep shade, but certainly you'll find that it'll cope for a very, very long time. If you like a bit of extra colour in the house, well, why not go for something old-fashioned like the old Goneum? There's lots of different forms on the markets these days. Some of the older forms used to sort of sprawl everywhere, but these newer forms tend to stay very compact and they're very brightly foliaged, easy to care for, very undemanding. Sit them in a saucer of water because they'll really respond to some extra moisture around their base, and you'll find that they go from year to year to year and they're easy to propagate. Now, last but very least, not at least, I should say, is the old rhapis palm or the lady palm. This is one of the very best palms to ever use inside of the home. Now, this is a slow growing palm. It's tolerant of very low light conditions. It naturally grows in shady conditions. It would also grow in quite a lot of sun, but loves the shade, and you'll find it is very undemanding. It doesn't want to be overwatered. In fact, too much water can actually rot the roots of this. So water it well about once or twice a week, and that's all you need. One thing to remember with these plants, of course, is they can often get a few insect diseases on them. When you have indoor plants inside of your home, you'll find that they are not able to utilize sunlight in different ways, so they can become a little bit weak. And as such, you'll find some insects can take advantage of this and get on there, such as in the case of, say, the parlour palm, or I should say the rhapis palm. You'll find that they can get things such as mealybugs just on the side of the leaf axils in there. So this is an important thing to look out for. Here's a little tip. When you're buying yourself an indoor plant, look at buying two of the same, because that way then you can keep one outside on your veranda and one inside where you want it to be, and every fortnight or every 3 weeks just swap them over, and that way you'll find they'll have a little bit of a holiday. Each one can recuperate their own way. Like I said earlier, there's no such thing as a true indoor plant. These are just plants that have adapted to grow in low light conditions.
Stay tuned on Blooming in Brisbane as we visit Bob, the bee man.